Okay, hold on a second. There we go. Muted it. Welcome to Pub Sports Radio, everyone. We're live. Of course, it's college football championship week today. We got 8 games. Jeff Nadeau and I have been doing this all season long. A really weird season, Jeff Nadeau. I had a shockingly good college football season all weeks except for the first week and the last week, which were shockingly bad. So it's been a weird season. I'm not sure. Maybe next year I should just take off week 1 and the last week. Today we got 8 games, which a lot of times these big games that people think they're so big, there's so much action, so much attention that the lines are so sharp. But I find that not to be the case. I find bowls and the last the New Year's Day bowl games and championship week games to often have very good values. A few plays I'm thinking that I'm seeing right now. How are you feeling in general right now, Jeff Nadeau?
Looking forward to it, Peter. Great card. We've got a lot of games. I think I cashed Jaden Daniels 10-1 last night in the Heisman, hopefully.
Yeah.
Michael Penix played well. I guess we'll see. Yeah, let's get into it. A lot of games. I'll even throw out some college basketball at the end, so stick around.
Okay. That sounds good. Yeah, college basketball. I am doing college basketball this year. Generally doing pretty well with it. Changing up my you have to have a strategy to cover as many games as you cover in college basketball or narrow it down to conferences. Let's just talk to 2 seconds. What's going on in Jeff Nadeau's college basketball handicapping life in 2023? What are you doing this season? How are you approaching it? What are you doing?
I mean, I always approach it the same way as you alluded to. I'm trying to find teams that I have a good read on and just trying to stick with that. I think if you sit here on a Saturday, like we've talked about, especially in college basketball, I mean, you have 363 teams. If you're sitting here just trying to pick things off, I just kind of jot things down throughout the season, Rice is a good over team, so-and-so. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I bet a lot of top 25. And once you get into conference play, it's just all about home road, certain spots, things of that nature. Like last night, my favorite play was Kansas. I played Kansas, So
I was on them too, baby. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think you just have to find teams that work for you and again, situations that work for you. For instance, so this is a really random thing, but today, 2 things actually. UMass Lowell, okay, very small team. They're really their goal on scoring is getting the ball into the paint and to use their bigs. When you play a team that can zone, that's a concern for Lowell. Today they play Merrimack, who zones more than anyone in America. So just little matchup, things like that I know in my head. For instance, another one, St. Joe's just beat Villanova, right? They're back again today and play Temple. Letdown game. Temple's got a good guard play. That number opened 6. It's down to 4.5. So just identifying little things like that, finding bad spots, just like you do in any other sport. But it is big, and you have to be very
careful.
Careful with that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do as well. I look at I notice certain things throughout the year, following certain teams, and I'll bet into those edges. I'm also reading the market every day, but not necessarily following every team very closely every day. And if I miss opportunities or later on realize that I missed something or that would have been big value if I had been looking at it, I'm okay with it because I know that at this point they're hitting you with 360 teams or however much it is, and you can't handicap all those teams in depth every single day. All right, let's get into it. We got a bunch of people watching now. Shout out to Dan Kelly. Let's see what Dan Kelly has to say. I hope one of you guys are on Georgia because it seems to me that everyone in the world is on Bama. We'll talk about that game. My thought on that one was maybe a shot with the over. As far as the side is concerned, it does feel. Well, we'll talk about it. My thought is that Alabama either gets blown out or they win outright. We'll talk about, and I definitely like the over on that one, although that could lose as well. Chess and Poker Daily says OKC plus 15, too many points. It would seem that way. We will look at it. Huge shout out to Sammy Comer. Thank God. Thank the Lord, Sammy Comer. Look at we got Sammy Comer, Kelly McInnes, Justin McElvey, Dan Kelly, Will Hildebrand. Who else? Well, there's a bunch of other people we could use, but I'm sure they'll pop in. All right, I guess let's just get into it. Jeff Nadeau, first game. Let's talk about Oklahoma State, Texas. Of course, Texas probably needs to run up the score to help their national title aspirations here. They're a huge favorite, right? Opened at 13, now it's up to 15. The total hasn't moved that much. First line I saw was 55. That's kind of still where it is right now. Oklahoma State beat BYU last week, but needed OT as a huge favorite in that one. 2 of their last 3 have been bad ATS losses, and Texas, they're really closing the season really strong ATS. They rolled Texas Tech. Of course, they're leaving the Big 12. Huge win over Texas Tech last week. Texas also has 1 extra rest day. My sense on this one is Texas, at the very least, puts up a big number. Do they cover 15? I don't know. Do we want to take a shot with the over? I'm not exactly sure. Is it too many points? Maybe. I really have no play on this one as of right now. I want to hear what you have to say, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't have much in this either. My whole thing with this game and with Texas is the same problem that's plagued this group all year. And this number's above 2 touchdowns. You obviously have to score touchdowns to cover this number. They have to score touchdowns to hit a team total. Peter, there's only 3 teams worse in America in the red zone than Texas. It's been a problem for them against quality competition, and it's one of the reasons they lost against K-State. K-State scored touchdowns. They score field goals. They have 50 red zone attempts this year, 22 touchdowns. That's not good enough. You can't kick field goals in games like this. You can't kick field goals against a team in Oklahoma State who we know is going to want to run the football. Good thing for Texas is they have a great run defense. They're allowing under 3 yards a carry. I think this is a pretty good matchup for them. I just have a hard time betting this game personally just because I don't trust them to score touchdowns. If they're scoring touchdowns today, they'll win this game by margin. They'll score 40. The team total will come in because you're right. They do need to win by margin. And you've also alluded to they've rolled teams recently. Yeah. And also something tells me that Mike Gundy has something in this game. I thought the game was kind of fairly priced. I'm out on this one.
Yeah, the total has now gotten bet up to 57, and you're right. If Oklahoma State runs a lot, Texas has a good run defense, and they get held down. What if it's 41-7, right? And then the under cashes.
You know what my first thought here was, Peter? My first thought here was 34-13. Maybe the under 56.5. I think we're almost in the belief that Texas is just going to score at will. This is a decent Oklahoma State defense, and I don't know that Oklahoma State can move the football. How do they move the football? Ollie Gordon, if you can neutralize him, look at what UCF did to him. I mean, they couldn't move the ball in that game. Something tells me the under is probably the best play in this game. I didn't get there, though, with it.
Yeah, I would be leaning under if I didn't know, and I don't know how much these friggin' factors actually matter, but if I didn't know that one would assume that Texas probably wants to run up the score, right? Put up a win by a big margin for national championship. I mean, I'm assuming that's what they're thinking and they're aware of it. Right? I mean, go ahead.
The problem they have, and I think they know this, they need to obviously win. That's the first goal. And look, let's be real. They need other teams to lose. Texas, if every team that needs to win wins, Texas is not in. Like everyone, that's the thing in the end. Like these teams aren't dumb, right? Like they know they need certain teams. That's not to say they're not going to try hard, but I don't think it matters as much at this point. They just need to win the game. Look, if they win by 1, on the last second, maybe that hurts them, but I just think winning's important. And they play first. So they don't know if Louisville's going to be Florida State or what. You just need to do what you have to do. And let's say they do run it up and score 41. Is Oklahoma State going to get a 20, which kind of is what you need here? I don't know. Texas defense is legit, man. It really is.
Well, Chess and Poker Daily says OKC plus 15, too many points. Justin McElvey says the over 56 is on his card. Nice. It's now up to 57. All right, we'll move on for a second. What about, I don't know, Oklahoma's team total under? What about that? I don't know.
Yeah, I think in this game, again, I'm only looking at betting unders, right? Because, again, I talked about Texas' issues in the red zone, and that could be very problematic in this game. But yeah, I wonder where does the offense come from? Because over the years, really, they've had trouble moving the football through the air, Oklahoma State. And I think that's one of the big pluses on this Texas team is how good the defense is. They're great against the run. They're going to stack the box and make the quarterback for Oklahoma State beat them. I'm not sure they're capable of doing that. This defense is really good. And, Oklahoma State, for that matter, isn't great in the red zone either, if we're being honest. So, yeah, I'm gonna lean. I just on unders in general. I think that's a good one.
I'm gonna pass on this one because it is also like the ultimate buy low, sell high or whatever situation. Texas coming off an absolute 50-point blowout at Oklahoma State, almost losing, going to OT as a big favorite. So I'm gonna pass on this one. Let's move on. Let me quickly glance for any other comments. JW says Texas team total over. Sure, maybe. Let's see.
I'm just gonna keep saying, JW. you were going to watch this game in the second quarter and probably be like, they can't score. Like it's a problem all season for them. They can't. They're one above Iowa in red zone offense. Think about that. That's how bad this offense gets in the 20 by the 20-yard line. So just remember that if you're betting, and it's 35.5, you're going to need 38, 40 to hit that.
Chosen one likes Texas first half -8.5. Maybe that's just a no-brainer thing. Don't overthink it, right? I don't know. I'm going to hold off for now. Maybe we'll revisit it. Let's move on. Next game, Miami, Ohio, and Toledo. This is an interesting one, right? Opened around 9 and 46.5. My first thought was, that's a little bit too many points and probably a little bit too high of a total. It's now down to, well, last time I checked, 7.5 and 44. And of course, Miami, Ohio, great defense, right? They've had a bunch of injuries on offense, which is not good. They've been able to be productive and get wins and cashes anyway. All year long, they've been great ATS. And Toledo, they've covered 4 out of their last 5. They tend to not be good as a favorite, but good as in competitive games. And this should be a competitive game. But again, they're given a lot of points here. Daquan Finn is great, but again, Miami, Ohio's defense is probably good enough to contain him and keep it within a touchdown. And then, Gabbert got injured for Miami, and then they had that other quarterback, Smith, who came in, less of an accurate passer, but much more mobile. And my sense is it's going to be Miami plays a very slow pace anyway, right? Probably going to be a very slow and plodding pace. And so I would still be leaning under even at the current line and leaning Miami at anything 7.5 or better. Last I saw 7.5, still at 7. Toledo's a very impressive team. Daquan Finn's great. Of course, he could explode for a couple touchdowns and put it out of reach and win by double digits. But my leans right now, Miami and the under.
Yeah, I want to preface this and make this clear. I have Toledo. I bet them the preseason to win this league. So I'm off on this game. I'm just kind of hoping that comes in. However, this is getting pummeled in the market. A lot of people coming in and taking Miami here. They're kind of thinking like you, close game. It's the MAC. Here's why the first game's not important. Okay. Because Brett Gabbert played. Okay. That's the difference in this game. Brett Gabbert played in the one. He's not going to play today. And here's my thing. Toledo sees Daquan Finn in practice, that defense. They're familiar with a running quarterback. You see a lot of them in this conference as it is. I mean, Curtis Rourke at Ohio is a running quarterback. They have a couple. I don't know, man. Something's telling me that Toledo wins by 10, honestly, 31-21. I think Toledo is so superior really at every level. And if they stack the box, can this Smith kid throw the football? It's another concern I have for like a team like Miami. I'm not in love with Toledo as a favorite. However, they have covered 4 of the last 5 as a favorite.
Yeah.
I'm going to wonder. I don't think we're going to see a 7 or 6.5 in this game. But if we did, I would love to jump on Toledo. That said, I'm on the Marty to win this title. I'm just going to hope that comes in a money line spot. Something tells me they win by 10, though.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure because I think if the game goes over, it's probably because Toledo has a big offensive day. So maybe the Miami team total under 17.5 at -116. Because if Miami covers, it might be very low scoring. If Miami gets blown out, that maybe they still their team total under still cashes. But in these championship games when people are really pulling out all the stops and trying to win, I don't like taking unders at low numbers. Anything can happen late. You know what I mean? And expect the unexpected. But maybe the Miami. Go ahead.
These are 2 very good defenses. This is generally a conference when teams in the MAC play each other, generally they're low scoring. I think we look at kind of remember early in the season we talked about them stepping up and playing Power 5 teams. They generally struggle, but when they're kind of playing the same type of team, and again, you can't look at what you saw in the first game because the quarterback was in and he's not in today. So this is a great teaser bet, I think, too. Maybe putting Toledo in with somebody else, getting them down below 7 and 3. That's huge in this game, I think, too. This is another tough one. It really is.
Yeah.
I'd lean Toledo, but again, not playing it.
God, you remember how I said in the beginning of the show I had a great season except for weeks 1 and last week, and now I'm like the Miami of Ohio at Miami, Florida +17. I was all over that one. They got blown the F out. That was one of my many huge losers in week 1. Unreal. Yeah, all right. I'm gonna hold off for now as well. Kind of a strong lean to Miami team total under, but yeah, you don't want to jump the gun. All right, next game. All right, let's quickly glance the comment section. Go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, real quick. In this title game, over the last 17 MAC title games, underdogs are 12-5 against the spread. So, again,
Oh,
I
yeah.
get why people are taking Miami. I don't know that quarterback, man. What do we really know about him? It's great defense.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and Justin McElvey, Toledo -7 is on his card. All right, let's get to the next game on the card, which is a game that I bet. Boise and UNLV. I took the over, right? If you recall, early in week 1 of this show, it's still up there. You can go check. I said UNLV was a high character team this year. I was expecting them to be a bet on team. I wasn't necessarily expecting them to cover every friggin' week, but they were a great team this year. Great story, new coach, new offense. Everything was great, and they covered. They were awesome ATS all year long. Boise, we talked about that earlier this year when they had the coaching change, right? Kind of a dysfunctional program. Then the coach was fired. The star receiver was like, well, if he's out, I'm back. Crazy situation. And then Boise came back, and since the coaching change, they have been big offensively and been covering recently. Boise also has one extra rest day, so I definitely don't want to bet against either of these teams as far as the spread is concerned. I think it's going to be a big offensive game, though. If it loses, that's okay. But I hit the opener at 58. Now it's up to 60.5. Definitely still liking the over Boise UNLV, Jeff.
Yeah, I'll address your play first. I think this is, one of those conference title games that does go high scoring. You don't usually see them do that, but yeah, I don't know where the stops come from in this game. I will say UNLV is not great against the run, which is concerning if you like UNLV. Boise has a couple of really good running backs. And to be quite frank with you, I don't want to step in front of Boise right now. I think this team's really good. I know they're 7-5, but all season, obviously outside of the game against Washington, this team played really well. There were certain games where they lost and, struggled kind of on the last possession or two, but they're good offensively. They made a lot of changes since getting rid of Avalos. They've, as you said, been very good on offense, beat some good football teams. And, another thing that I'm impressed by, shut down some good offenses. Utah State's a good offense. They scored 10 points. They kept Air Force in line as well. I'll also say this, Peter. I laid the number here, and there's one reason why. It's not that I don't respect UNLV. I think it's impressive what they've done. But I kind of liken them a little bit to New Mexico State last night. I'm just not sure they're ready to win a title yet. Maybe next year, sure. But Boise's been a top dog. They're here. All the shit that's happened this season, and look where they are in the line to win a title game. I think that's major motivation. I think they get the job done here. I laid the number as well.
All right, well, I will make the over 60.5 -109 current line of Pinnacle and official play. You can probably find better. I would agree with you about Boise, and I'll tell you why. And kind of similar to what you just said. Rogue Energy, though, says UNLV money line. Justin Villegas says UNLV as long as they can stop the Boise State runner. Yeah, when you see teams like UNLV, teams with great character, great story, covering week in and week out all year long, they're usually a great bet the entire year until they get to the very last part.
Exactly.
And that point is when they're a good fade. And you see this in the NCAA tournament all the time. Don't spread this around too much. Keep it within us. But when there's one of those teams, we see them all the time, whatever, VCU, all those teams that are just way overperforming, obviously great, covering every game, game in, game out, game in, game out. Then when they actually get to the Final Four, they're actually a good bet against in that situation.
I remember case in point, and I'll relate this to Pub Sports Radio. This was back when Pub Sports Radio just started. Jeff Slaughter, the owner of Pub Sports, he brought us down for the Final Four. It was 2018. Loyola Chicago went to the Final Four that year. I remember they were a lead all season to get to the Final Four to get fucking rolled, right?
Yes.
And,
yes.
You look at this game, I don't think I've seen one person on Twitter, in the markets, anywhere, say they like Boise. And I think that energy, I think that energy that you alluded to, that's a great point. UNLV's 10-2 against the number. They've just been a sparkling group. But Boise's won money against the number 2. I think they'll have a nice contingent there. A lot of people, this is in Vegas. They're going to win because of that.
No.
I don't mean that much. Boise's just, I think, a better team. They're playing great. Lay it.
Well, I'm adding on 2 more official plays. I think I'm going to have a good day today. I'm going to take Boise. At Pinnacle, it's 2 -102, 2.5 -102. So I'll take -2 -108. That's the current line of Pinnacle. 2 -108. I could go for 1.5 at 114, but I'll just take 2 -108. And I'm also going to take the Boise team total over 30.5, which means 4 touchdowns and a field goal. You win it. 30.5 -118. I really like that one. Boise team total over 30.5 -118. Of course, that's the way things should go. If you like a side and you like a total, then you should love even more the team total that's associated with that. And I do. Boise team total over 30.5 minus 118. I think that's a great play. Make that a third official play. Taking Boise -2 and the over 60.5 minus 109. Boise also has an extra rest day. Not that matters huge, but it's worth noting. All right, let's look at the comment section and then move on. Up Trap God says Boise on Boise -2.5. Will Hildebrand says 90% of the money on the over. All right, let's move on. Jeff, next game on the card, Appalachian State Troy. It's another one I bet. I did take a shot. Not because I necessarily loved it, but I was like, this line is probably going to go down, and it's probably going to be a good bet when I look into it. With Appalachian State, they opened at 7 or 6.5. I got that when it opened. It's now at 5, and the total's gotten bet up a little bit, 51.5 to 53.5. Appalachian State, of course, had a kind of disappointing season most of the year, and I got burned a few times, I think, betting on them and losing. But then they turned a big corner recently, 4 straight huge margin covers. And Troy, has been great ATS most of the year, but this is a big game. Last year's game went down to a Hail Mary pass. Feels like either side getting 3.5 or more would probably be an auto play. So that's why I automatically clicked on Appalachian State on the opener. And at 5, I still think that's a good play. Sure, Troy could win by 7, but Appalachian State +5 seems like a good bet. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, that would be my first thought. I actually like the over here. I think both these offenses. I think this is a good Troy defense. I don't think this is an elite Troy defense, especially I don't love them against the pass. Joey Aguilar, the quarterback for App State's been elite, man. He has really put up some big numbers. I don't like their defense much either. Just so people know, this is I think this is the only game as far as conference title games that is playing in a home stadium. This is at Troy, this game. Weather looks to be a little rainy today, but no wind, so I think we'll be cool with the total. I like the over. I think it's a little too low. I think both offenses can move the ball and have success. I think when we see Troy, we just think defense, defense, defense. But App State's put up some crooked numbers this year. Again, they're not a great offense. These are two pretty good offenses in the red zone. I like the over, 52.5.
Yeah. My only slight concern with that is just that, like, the flip that happened with Appalachian State on their year and in terms of covering was due to primarily, I mean, of course, they have a great quarterback, but they changed up their defensive scheme. And after they did that, they got a lot better those last 4 games defensively. But I definitely – okay.
I will say I agree with you wholeheartedly on the side. I think anything above 4, I would be all in on the Mountaineers. Troy's good. They're great, but App State's really dynamic on offense. And – defensively, as you said, they've gotten a bit better. So, yeah, I think that's a great play. Sharps agree with you, too. This number's gotten wrecked.
Yeah, I mean, it just, how these games go, like they might start off a little bit conservatively, but then it gets all excited and crazy and trading touchdowns and this and that. I'll make an official play here, Jeff Nadeau. Appalachian State team total over. I'm seeing 23.5 minus 118 at Pinnacle right now. So again, 3 touchdowns and a field goal, and you're in. And yeah, you're right. That quarterback, 110. Over 23.5 minus 110. Appalachian State team total over 23.5 minus 110. Definitely leaning Appalachian State plus the points, but it could go to OT and then Troy wins by 6 or whatever. So I'll just stick with the Appalachian State team total over. Let's glance at the comment section. Go ahead.
That's a good number, 23.5. I had this at worst. I think App State gets a 24. So that's a great number, actually. Good call there.
Yeah. Joey B says, not only is Pete's fingernail biting making me nervous, now the hat. Joey B, I have not bitten my fingernails once in this entire video, Joey B. Have I, Jeff? Maybe subconsciously.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the hat because you kind of have that hat on your head. Like, you ever see Oz? You ever see that show back in the day?
Sure.
There was a character out of BC, and he used to have this little cap on the back of his head, and it never fell off.
It looks like it should fall off. Right. Yeah. I'm in control, but I mean, I look fucking
too big
cool
for your head, I feel like, or too small.
My head is too big for the hat, but then I was looking at it because I paid fucking $1,300 for this hat, Jeff Nadeau. I know you dress well and you got a little bit of money. I don't think you have any hat that you paid $1,300 for.
Well, you did that because you entered the tournament, right?
It's like, I know I'm going to lose, but I'm going to get this fucking hat, and that is kind of worth it. So I paid $1,300 for this hat. At first, I was disappointed because it didn't fit. But then I put it on. I was like, wow, it actually looks cool. And I'm like, wow, it actually looks super cool. So, now I'm happy with my purchase. All right, let's see. What else do we got here? Let's quickly glance at the comment section, and then we'll move on. Yeah, Justin McElvey. I'm on Boise money line and the Sacramento Kings parlay for decent money. Okay. All right. Next game on the card, we'll talk about SMU Tulane. This is another one I bet. You tell me, Jeff Nadeau, what your take on this one is. Tulane, of course, bad ATS all year long. They were just too big of a favorite. They were one of those teams, and I was bet. I wasn't immediately hip to that, but I got hip to it like in the middle of the year and faded them ATS for a bunch of their games at the end of the year. Tulane was one of them. You talked about that. You liked Tulane in that one. So did I. Tulsa. Tulsa was one of them. You talked about that. And so did I. Now, though, they've covered their last two, right? So Tulane, one of these teams who was just really good, winning all year long straight up, losing ATS. Now they've covered their last two. SMU crushed Navy in their last game, but they had been iffy ATS before that. And SMU lost their starting quarterback, right? So that matters. But then the guy who's replacing him is a redshirt freshman who does have a little bit of experience, has some good results in high school. Looks like he's going to be okay. And SMU has a good offense because they just have a lot of weapons, right? The receivers, the tight ends, everything. They've got a lot of weapons. And I think SMU might be the play here. Maybe not at 3, but at 3.5, definitely. I took it at 4. What do you think about SMU as a play against Tulane?
I know people don't agree, probably. I think this is the most fascinating game of the day for a couple of reasons.
Yeah.
I grabbed 4.5 when this number came out on Monday, and it's now down to 3, which I find fascinating because Tulane's ranked. On paper, they're a better team, and their starting quarterback is out with a broken leg. But I agree with you. And when you look at a system, Peter, as a quarterback, I don't know if there's a better one to be in than SMU with Rhett Lashley, due to the fact that, as you alluded to, bunch of good skill position players, good offensive line. And this Kevin Jennings kid, he can move around, get him on some short intermediate throws. SMU's got a great defense. Sharp money is burying SMU. I mean, you can look at this number and see that. We have number at 3 at certain books now.
Yeah.
That's a huge move. I was thinking as the week went on, Peter, about buying out of SMU, but I'm really happy that I got 4.5 here.
Yeah.
Could the game be close and maybe they lose by field goal? Yeah, but something tells me they win this game. I really believe it. Give me SMU. I agree.
Yeah, I would love to take the money line, but I'm not going to. And it's 3 right now at Pinnacle. I'm assuming that I usually don't line shop in these shows, but or use an odd service to find a better line. But I'm assuming that there's some 3.5 still, right?
Hey, Peter, also,
go ahead.
This is really big. Tulane's coach just took a job at Houston. Okay, that's something that was announced yesterday. Let me ask you: if you were on Tulane, how would you feel about that, playing this game?
Yeah,
I
would pee in a Mountain Dew can and give it to him and be like, "Here you go, coach. Going away present for you."
You're going to coach a Houston, our rival from a year ago. I think that throws that in too. I mean, this is a big move, man, from 4.5 to crossing 3.5 to now 3 with a team that has a quarterback out and a freshman's in. You don't see that often. SMU's the play.
Yeah. Okay. I'd love to be getting 3.5, but I'm not going to line shop. I'll make an official play for myself. The Pinnacle line, SMU +3 -108. Jeff Nadeau. Yeah. And as far as the total is concerned, this is a little bit weird. Nate Dogg 420 leans over. It's a very low total, right? Now the total has gotten bet down, but I'm assuming that has a lot or mostly to do with the quarterback injury news for SMU. A surprisingly low total. Tulane, of course, has had a great defense all year long, but that's when they were holding down mediocre conference teams. Now they're going up against a team with a capable offense. I was thinking maybe over. Chosen One likes Tulane. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about an over?
I think it's.
Oh, but there you go. Sorry, Coin says putting some Tulane under 47 in pocket. Okay, what do you think about total here, Jeff?
I think it's correlated. I think if you like SMU, you lean over. I think if you like Tulane, you lean under. That said, these are two great defenses. This is all going to come down to, I think, probably red zone execution. First thought was 24-21. Honestly, that was my first thought here. But I guess I see your opinion. I just think SMU's defense is nasty, and I know Tulane's is too. I don't know. It's a tough one for me. It's one that I sat out. Because remember, 24-21, that's a loser in this situation. So, I didn't have much on a total. Chosen One, yes, quarterback's out. But, the backup is, I think, capable. So,
Yeah, a redshirt freshman who does have some experience and some nice results in high school. And again, like you said, it's the system, it's the program, like the friggin' Niners. You know what I mean? If you've got all that system and all that talent at the skill position, all you need is a quarterback who knows the
Also,
system. And this guy does. Go ahead.
I think sometimes when we talk about quarterback being out, we immediately think like they're bringing someone in off the street and just throwing them in. Like, remember, this guy's played this season. He's practiced. He practices with the team every day. He's right there. He's a probably 4-star recruit. He's not just there because he's good at science or something. Like, he's there because he's a quarterback. So I think just throwing him in and just assuming he's going to be shit. Now, it would suck if this game starts and it's like 2 minutes left in the first quarter and they have 3 yards passing. Like, that would be concerning because it's likely he won't have success. But I think he'll be fine. It's a good system to be in.
Yeah. Jennings actually a 3-star recruit, but the point is well taken, Jeff Nadeau. I hear you. All right, I'm on SMU. Go ahead.
He's a better recruit than all of us. Put it that way.
Right. Okay. All right, so let's move on. Here we go. Next on the card, it is Georgia, Alabama. I don't know, man. Bama's a dog, right? They've been a dog like 4 times in the past 20 years or whatever the hell it is. They won outright a couple times, got blown out a couple times. Total's gotten bet up from 54.5 to 56. Georgia was clearly a somewhat vulnerable elite team at ATS this year, and I faded them in these shows a few times, ATS and cashed. Bama, of course, started the year. People were like, it's not the classic Bama team, so they were a little undervalued all year long. 7-2 ATS in their last 9. Alabama, I don't know, man. Alabama coming off that big, last-minute win against Auburn, so maybe it's not a good spot for Alabama. I don't know what I think about the side. I do kind of like the over, though. It's gotten bet down a little bit from 56 to 54.5. I understand that. The defenses are great. Offenses are great. I think maybe the over might be the play. As far as the side is concerned, I'm not sure. What's your take on this one, Jeff?
Yeah, this is a game that I'm probably not going to get involved with. However, I don't understand the move down. I thought Georgia was a good play at 6, right? I mean, I feel like if they win, it's probably by a touchdown or more. I think in the end, we have to just look at it and say, who's a better team? Georgia's the better team. Carson Beck's been extremely good all season. We know they have a great defense. I think this game's a lot like last year's, if I'm being honest. I think what will come to roost is we know Jalen Milrose had a good season, not a great season. I think Georgia puts him in bad positions like they normally do to Alabama quarterbacks, and I think Alabama struggle. I think this is 31-21. That's how I had it, kind of. I think 55.5, personally, a little high. I thought it was at most 31-21. Like I said, 2 great defenses. This is going to come down, I think, just to, success in the red zone, things like that. But then again, I was totally wrong with Oregon last night. So, Alabama could win. They could have that magic. 4th and 30, they beat Auburn. Crazy.
Right, but maybe that's the double-digit favorite to Auburn. Now, I was on Auburn in that game, and so they get a little bit of a pass for having it go down to the wire, but still, they could have blown him out, and now they're off of an emotional high. I'm thinking Georgia is the play here, Jeff. How good? You were like, look at the and just say which is the better team. Obviously, I did that. I have no idea, or I would have said it. How good is Georgia's defense?
I think it's elite. I mean, it's not Michigan's defense, but it's not far off. And I think Alabama's defense is quite good. Their second look, the strengths of these teams are in the secondary. And it's going to come down to who makes a play, a turnover here or there. Like I said, I thought the number to be around 6. I think Georgia's probably on a neutral field 6, but it's 4.5. I think there's value on Georgia. So
now it's down to go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. If it were me, here's what I would do. And I've talked about this sparingly once in a while. In games like this, every half point matters.
Sure.
Georgia money line with maybe something else, maybe Boise or something else that you like. That maybe you do that. That way you don't have to worry about points here. Because this could be 30-27. This could be 27-24. Why worry about it?
I'll tell you. It's a great analysis overall. I actually don't like the Georgia money line. I think if Georgia wins, it's okay, they were significantly better and they win by at least a touchdown. Okay. Or if Bama comes to play, it's oh, okay, Bama's the real deal this year and they win outright. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I would much prefer Georgia. Yeah, go ahead.
Both these defenses are elite. I don't agree with one of the commenters saying that Georgia's defense is vulnerable. On what planet has Georgia's defense been vulnerable? I'm curious. I mean, they haven't lost, I think, since like 2020, I think. Like, when? When were they vulnerable?
Okay, I'm gonna make an official play here. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Wow. Let me just think here for a second. Okay, I'm gonna make an official play here, Jeff Nadu. I'm gonna add Georgia to my card. I'm gonna shock the world and call for Georgia to get an ATS win here. The line right now, Pinnacle, is -4, -116. I'm going to take it. -4, -116. I think it's just a good spot ATS wise to set up. Georgia clearly has been overvalued ATS all year long, but we see this time and time again. Teams that are like 30-point favorites or whatever, just not covering. And then when they're up against another elite team and it's a small spread, then the advantage shows and they get the cover. And Alabama again, yeah, coming off of an emotional high with the Auburn win. I'm going to take a shot with Georgia -4, -116. It's so funny how the Georgia coach Kirby Smart has been telling him, no one thinks you're like that great, no one thinks you're really that great, and it does feel that way. I'm like, I'm going to take Georgia -4, -116, and shock the world if it cashes. Like, taking the top team in the country to cover a spread feels like a bold play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean completely, because that's Alabama for you. But I want to address this guy in the chat. The word is yours. Who says Georgia's defense was vulnerable last week? Question mark. First of all, they played Georgia Tech, who scored 23 points. That's not a lot of points you gave up. Throw in the fact that it was a fucking meaningless game, and they were looking forward to this one. Why do people constantly try to? So you're telling Peter, when have Georgia been vulnerable? Like, have you truly ever watched them and said they're really vulnerable on defense? That's not the strength of this team. I mean, what are we doing here? Like, you're just trying to find a reason about Alabama. Bet them then, bro. I don't see it, and I don't agree with you.
Yeah, bet them, bro. You like it that much? Hey, go for it. Bet it. All right, let's look at the comment section. I'm adding Georgia -4 to my official slate here. Chosen One says I think the game goes over. I would be leaning over as well. Let me see. Bookmaker down to 54. Trap God says 4.5 is too low. Should be 6.5. I vaguely agree with that. Although I think that if Georgia is in for a cover, probably the line should be maybe even a little bit higher than 6.5. We'll see. Let's see. Rogue Energy likes Bama money line. Yeah, I agree with if Bama does come to play, they probably win outright. And Trap God says if Bama can barely beat Auburn, go ahead.
Oh, finish that. But I was going to say Reed Williams wrestling comment. That's funny.
Reed Williams' wrestling comment. Good show, Red. I use that term loosely. Yeah, hell yeah. Thank you for using it, though. I appreciate it. Williams.
Wow, little kids clowning us, for Christ's sakes.
Like okay, and Dan Kelly says -3.5, -118 at FanDuel, Pete. All right, I will take. Oh, hell yeah, Dan Kelly. Shout out Dan Kelly. I'll make that the official play. -3.5, -118. Could easily lose. If it does, that's okay. It's not my favorite play on the card, but I am. And Troy Torrance, here we go. Right. Okay. You ready? Mobile quarterbacks are Georgia's weakness. Georgia hasn't played a defense like Bama. I mean, yeah, teams that are matchup problems in all college sports, especially college football, with mobile quarterbacks is a huge handicapping factor that I do use. Not when it comes to elite teams, but in sub-elite teams, I do. That is an issue, though. Mobile quarterbacks, Georgia's weakness, and Georgia hasn't played defense like Bama. Go ahead.
I mean, they look pretty good against Spencer Rattler and Joe Milton, who are all mobile quarterbacks. So I think we'll be all right.
Justin Milligan says his breakfast egg yolk looked like a Tulane wave. So he's going to be pounding Tulane. All right, that'll be just one loss if it loses. Big Master likes Bama, Michigan, Louisville, and Texas. All right, let's move on, Jeff Nadu. I got a lot of official plays on the card. Michigan, Iowa. I don't really have anything on this one. Almost certainly going to be a pass. Michigan, of course, is Michigan. Iowa's Iowa, right? They're off a bye. Lost 3 of the last 4 ATS. Extremely low total, extremely high spread. Earlier in the year, this was expected, and I was betting every Michigan under and taking the dog in those games. They were clearly too big of a favorite, and the totals were just too high. In this spot, I don't even know what to do. You tell me, Jeff.
Yeah, so I played Iowa team total under 6.5, and I'm very happy with it. Okay. I think it's one of the better plays on the board. Could they get to 6? Yeah. Do I think they score a touchdown? No, I don't. I don't think they will competently move the ball against Michigan, who is the best defense in America. And what do we know about Michigan? It took them until November 4th to allow more than 10 points in a game, and they allowed 13. I look at it, and I don't see it. I don't know where. You got me still, Peter?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. My computer's screwing up here. Yeah, I'm just going to rock with that here. I don't think Deacon King can move the ball, or whatever his name is, Deacon Hill, backup quarterback for them. If McNamara's in there, maybe it's a little different, but I don't see it here. Give me team total under on Iowa. I think this is a quick game. Two good defenses.
Okay. Yeah, I guess if you gave me a free play, well, yeah, maybe I would throw it on the under. It's a super low total. Let's see where the total opened at, the spread opened at first line I saw was 23 and 35.5, and now we're down to 22 and 35. So a tiny move in favor of Iowa and the under, which is not a surprise there. Jeff Nadeau thinking Iowa will have. Yeah, I mean, it's just like there's so many ways a fluky score can happen in a game, a big game where teams are trying 100%. So I hear you, Jeff. I'm going to completely pass on that one. Next game, this is a crazy one, right? Louisville, Florida State. Louisville lost to Kentucky last week, right? They lost a turnover battle in that one. And Florida State, of course, coming off the Florida game where they won. And now Florida State has some injury issues at quarterback, right? I believe that the backup to Jordan Travis, Rodemaker, is out. He had a pretty bad leg injury, and he's going to be out. I think I'll get an update right now. But if you read the reports, game time decision, right? So that's not great. If you read, the Florida State media reports and stuff, the whole team is supposedly really upset that Jordan Travis had such a bad injury in November, and now they're trying to have a great finish to the season for him. And I guess that is a big motivating factor. It's a very small line opened almost at 7. Now it's down to 1.5, and the total, of course, crashed 5 or 6 points as well because of the injury news, I'm sure. And Louisville is no slouch. I don't really know if I want to fade them. I might have a bet on this one. As of right now, I'm still scratching my head and thinking and want to hear what you guys all have to say. Louisville, Florida State. Everyone in the comment section, tell us what you think. And Jeff Nadeau on the live stream here, tell us what you think.
Peter, you want to know, sometimes when I think maybe I'm not good at this anymore, then I realize I am, because guess what I got Louisville at, Peter? 3.5.
Holy shit, 7. Oh, 3.5. Okay.
3.5. I'm happy with that. It's now a pick 'em. And the thought is, you got to feel bad for Florida State. It was a great season, and now they're on the precipice of having someone called Brock Glenn start, a third-string quarterback. Ooh. Brock Glenn. I don't know who he is.
Sounds like a fucking dork.
Yeah, sounds like an astronaut or something. But he was a good prospect, top 7, I believe, quarterback in Tennessee. Good quarterback. That said, it's a third-string quarterback, and we'll use kind of the comparison to SMU. That kid played this year. He's had plenty of reps. A little different situation. And I think Louisville, quite honestly, even with Tate Rodemaker in there, I like them. I think they're a better team with this current team against this current Florida State team. I love their coach, Jeff Brom. I like their quarterback. Great defense. That's a good thing, too. Peter, when you actually look at Florida State, even with Jordan Travis, I urge you to find a game where you were truly impressed with them outside of the first game of the season. They played a bunch of bad teams, bad defenses. This is the best defense they're going to play all season. Even with Jordan Travis, I'm venturing to tell you, I would take 3.5 or 4 with Louisville. I would. Or anything higher, which is what it would probably be. I like Louisville in the spot, and I think they do something for all of us. I think they beat Florida State, because you and I, Peter, do not want to see Florida State in the Final Four. Louisville wins. Even at whatever price, I'll take Louisville.
Yeah. Louisville might be the price here. You're right. They kind of the LSU win was great in week 1. They ran away with it that time. But, yeah, overall, they've been a little bit disappointing, ATS and everything. Now they got a dork starting at quarterback, and Louisville's coming off the Kentucky loss, which is probably a good thing if you want to bet Louisville in this spot. And, looking at the mark – go ahead.
If you're a bookmaker, you have to be pulling your hair out at this game, because you just keep getting bad news after bad news with Florida State. How do you line this game? They're going to have – the whole world's on Louisville. If Louisville wins, it's going to be a disaster for bookmakers, because no one's betting Florida State.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see where this line closes. Louisville closes a favorite. Right now, Florida State's still a tiny favorite at Pinnacle, and the total, has dropped to 46. Maybe the over? Wow, that's a massive drop. Maybe the over. I don't know what I'm thinking. All right, so let's look at the comments section. Justin McElvey, Louisville plus 102 is on his card. Dana Delp, FSU. Robert Franklin likes the under. Trap God and Rogue Energy like Louisville money line. Troy Torrance points out he's a true freshie. Huge shout out to Troy Torrance. Huge shout out. Coin says line is too low now. All right, I'm going to
I guess I'll just
Dan
ask,
Kelly says Brock. Go ahead.
I'll ask whoever, like, what is attractive about betting Florida State in this game? I don't get it.
Well,
like, what? I think you have to look at some point and just say, if I don't like the other side, like, I'm just going to avoid it. Like, why bet Florida State at this game in this game? I don't see it.
Market overreaction to understandable, information that everyone and their mom is jumping all over. Not that betting Louisville at 6.5 or 3.5 was not a good thing to do, but if it really drops to pick them, maybe it flips to being Florida having the value. Yeah, Jared TG says I haven't been able to figure out Louisville all year. I think they're bad. They win. Louisville, I actually have been able to figure out most of the year. I had them against Miami, a bunch of games, and I really don't know what to think here. I really don't. Troy Torrance leaning Florida State. Troy Torrance leading Florida State, and Dan Kelly says Brock Glenn committed to Ohio State, and shortly after that changed. All right, maybe he's not a dork. Okay, maybe there's something to him. Yeah.
Also, remember, and this will give you a lot. I mean, sharps are taking Louisville. Okay, they were on 3.5 or bigger. So, yeah, I think even like 70% of the actual money on this game is being bet on Louisville. So this is a disaster for books here. No one's on Florida State, and I think it's clear that they're not deciding this game.
Big Mastro 68 says you could give them +7 with FSU, and I still wouldn't bet it. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, wow. All right. Well, alternate numbers here with Louisville. Louisville minus 6.5.
Sure.
What's that price?
Louisville minus 6.5.
Yeah.
I'll check some of the alt lines here. I'll just quickly glance at Pinnacle at some of the other places they could offer.
Like, this is a game where I'd take $100 and say I'm going to lay Louisville minus 13.5. Alternate.
Sure. Yeah, because if Florida really has nothing, it's a blowout. Yeah, I agree with you on that analysis. I'm going to pass on this one as of right now. Still not sure what to make of it. Okay, so to review, my official plays on today's card: Boise UNLV over 60.5, Boise -2, Boise team total over 30.5 -118, App State team total over 23.5, SMU +3, and Georgia -3.5 -118. Jeff Nadeau, what are your official plays from today's card?
So I mean, you can still get SMU at 3.5. I would, if you can't, obviously you can't get 4.5. That's what I took it at. I like SMU. I also like Boise -2.5. I like Iowa team total under a 6.5. Can't believe I'm saying that, but I like it. And I like Louisville. There's 1.5s out there. I get it at a better number, but I think they win the game. I'm going to rock with those today.
Okay, we have a play of the day from Perky Sanderson here. Toledo -3, betting down to buying down to -3, and Bama money line. Wow, I think he's implying a parlay. Yeah, that's into a Bama money line. Nice dog price. Toledo -3 would be a pretty big favorite price. And Jeff Nadeau, I know you've looked at some of the college basketball for today. Raymond Reichart really wants to know about Wisconsin Marquette. Now I want to know about that. Did you look at that at all, Jeff, or not?
Yeah, it's a big-time rivalry. Marquette laying 3.5 in this game. Kind of differing styles of play. Marquette want to play fast, up and down. Wisconsin very plodding. But I have noticed they're a little bit more willing to run this year. They got a kid, A.J. Storr, who's kind of turned up the offense. I don't know, kind of like the over a little bit in that game. But a big rivalry, the Wisconsin kind of Marquette rivalry. Here's a couple that I played. I mentioned earlier, I like Temple +4.5 against St. Joe's. They're in every game close. They didn't even have 2 guards the other night and still hung around against a good old Miss team. I think Temple's in a great spot. Letdown game for Joe's off the Villanova win. I think that's a good spot. I also like Davidson a little bit against Wright State. I also like the over in that game. Davidson should score at will. Wright State's one of the worst dribble drive defenses in the country. I think Wright State can score in that game. Should be a good offensive matchup. I also mentioned it. I like Merrimack +7 against UMass Lowell. Talked about that earlier. Merrimack, a great zone defense. I think they kind of throw off a Lowell team that's very dependent on getting the ball into the paint and at the basket. I think that's a good spot. Just kind of jumped around here, but I've had a good week in college hoops. Hoping for another good one.
Very, very nice. And my best bet on the card today would be Boise team total over 3.5 minus 118. Let's just review the comment section and then we'll wrap this up. Perky Sanderson on fire today. He likes Marquette minus 2.5. Wisco's a big team. The score in the bank. This will be a good game. I think he's saying he likes Marquette, but he says Perky Sanderson. Check this out. This is why he's sharp, because he gets the good numbers. It doesn't matter you have winning picks at shitty numbers. Toledo, I got -3 at minus 145. Very nice. Right now, Pinnacle, Toledo -5 is minus 153. That's why Perky Sanderson III is him, and we're not. So
I wanted to also comment on Dan Kelly's asking about Colgate. Yeah, I'd be on the other side there. Colgate has struggled over the years in stepping up against competition like this, really against competition that are just better athletically and physically than they are. Arizona, I have as arguably the best team in the country. And you look at Colgate last year, they really struggled when they played Auburn, which is kind of a similar comp to this game. They just don't see these types of teams a lot. Generally, when Colgate goes to the NCAA tournament, they get crushed. They got beat up against Yale this season already. I think Arizona kind of pulls away and wins by 25. They are always very good in the non-con. So, yeah, I would probably lay it as opposed to taking the points there.
Yeah, Justin McElvey saying dork for QB. That's fucking hilarious. Yeah, this is probably before your time. Remember when they had Anthony Michael Hall flip the script and be a star quarterback in a movie completely flop? Yeah, but no. What was that called? That was a funny-ass movie.
Yeah, you just can't believe stuff like that sometimes.
Yeah, you can't have a dork at quarterback. But Dan Kelly says he committed to Ohio State. So maybe he's not. He sounds like a dork, but maybe he's not. All right. Sharon Polium likes Marquette first 5. Perky Sanderson III liking Marquette -2.5. What a great show. I guess we're going to do bowls, Jeff, right? Are we or not? Do we know what the plan is?
I don't know what the plan is, but I'm down to do whatever you guys want. I also want to throw out, if I can, I'll do this occasionally. I got 2 soccer plays for
hit us up with it. Hit us up with it. Hell yeah.
Anybody would like to opine. Today, Frosinone is taking on AC Milan in the Serie A. I like the over 2.5 in this game. Milan should get to 2. I think Frosinone find a goal here. 2 groups that have been goal-oriented to start the season, and Frosinone has allowed 21 in 13 games, which is a lot. I think they get some goals here in this one. I also like Roma, Sassuolo. Both teams are scoring the over tomorrow. Sassuolo is, over the years, one of the best over teams in Serie A. They've given up the second most goals in this league this year. They can also score. Roma should get possibly 2 or 3 in this one. I like both teams to score in the over in Roma, Sassuolo. Italy, baby.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Big Mastro asking, I'm on Boise State to win. Well, yeah, I'm on the over in Boise State, and I like the team total over more. And then App State to win or just cover. No, I like them to just cover because I think it's going to be a close game. But my official play for this show is the team total over 23.5 -110. Troy has a good defense, but it's a big rivalry game. It'll go down to the wire. App State, of course, has a quarterback who should be productive, and so I like the App State team total over. So that means if they lose ATS, but the game soars over, that covers. And maybe if the game goes under, but they win outright or something, they might get to 24 or 27. So App State team total overs will play a little risky, but I'm on that one. All right. I don't know if we're going to be doing bowl games, but I hope we will be. And if we are doing them, we'll see you then. If not, it's been a great show, and hopefully we'll do it again next year. Jeff Nadu, that's for you. Thanks so much for everything you've done in this show all year long. Jeff Nadu.
It was a fun show. Also, real quick, Navy Army under 28 next week. Get that in. Bet that right now.
You can't stop it. The picks just keep coming. All right. We'll see y'all very soon, hopefully.